Welcome, forest friends. It's time to enter the forest and see what we discover. Open your mind and wander with us for a bit. Welcome back, forest friends. If you've been walking with us closely, you may have noticed something important about healthy forests. They are not static, they change. Branches fall, clearings open, light shifts. And sometimes growth only happens because something interrupts what felt stable. In our last episode, we explored how cognitive forests can grow inward, forming echo chambers that feel safe but limit expansion. Today, we talk about what happens next. This episode is called The Necessary Disturbance because learning, growth, and wisdom do not emerge from comfort alone. They emerge from friction that is carefully held. The human brain is a prediction machine. It prefers stability. Once it finds a pattern that works well enough, it repeats it. This efficiency is useful, it conserves energy, it reduces cognitive load, but it also resists change. When a pattern becomes too comfortable, it stops updating. And when updating stops, learning stalls. This is why disruption matters, but not all disruption is helpful. There is a difference between disturbance and damage. There is a difference between friction and force. Productive disruption introduces just enough tension to invite reorganization without triggering shutdown. It nudges the system to adapt without tearing it apart. In cognitive science, this shows up in the idea of desirable difficulty. When learners encounter a challenge that slightly exceeds their current schema but remains within emotional safety, the brain leans forward. Attention sharpens, frills extend, new connections become possible. But when the challenge overwhelms working memory or threatens identity, the brain retreats. Frills retract. Learning halts. This is the tightrope educators, parents, and leaders walk every day. Productive friction might look like asking a learner to explain an idea in a new way, or comparing two similar concepts and noticing what differs, or encountering a counterexample that gently unsettles certainty. These moments feel uncomfortable but not unsafe. They signal to the brain that something important is happening. Unproductive disruption, on the other hand, feels abrupt and disorienting. It comes without preparation, support, or context. It increases cognitive load without offering structure. Instead of opening the forest, it floods it. And the mind does what it always does under threat. It protects itself. The modern information environment is full of unproductive disruption, headlines designed to shock, arguments delivered without empathy, contradictions hurled like weapons. These forms of disruption harden schema rather than soften them. They deepen echo chambers instead of breaking them. What the brain needs instead is guided perturbation. Think of how a gardener prunes a tree. The goal is not to harm the plant, but to redirect growth. Strategic pruning removes dead branches so energy can flow elsewhere. Controlled burns clear underbrush so stronger growth can emerge. In cognitive terms, this means intentionally introducing experiences that challenge assumptions while preserving dignity and safety. Education does this best when it invites learners into uncertainty with support, when it frames confusion as information, when it treats mistakes as data rather than deficits, when it pauses long enough for reflection to catch up with challenge. This is also where co-regulation returns. When a learner feels unsettled, they look for cues. Is this safe? Am I allowed to not know? Will I be supported if I'm wrong? A calm adult presence answers these questions before words are spoken. It signals that the disturbance is intentional and survivable. Narrative identity matters here too. Learners who believe they are allowed to change their minds experience disruption differently than those who see beliefs as fixed identities. When learning environments celebrate revision, growth, and humility, the mind stays flexible. When environments equate certainty with worth, disruption feels like an attack. This is why productive friction must be relational. Ideas change when relationships hold. Systems shift when trust exists. Schema reopen when the mind believes it will not be abandoned mid-adjustment. As we prepare to move forward, Episode 20 is not about breaking echo chambers yet. It is about preparing the forest for openness. It is about loosening the soil, letting light in, creating the conditions where new growth could happen. In the next episode, Forest Friend, we will explore what happens after disturbance has done its work, how ideas cross-pollinate, how bridges form between cognitive forests, how schema frills reopen and reach outward again. Until then, remember this. Growth does not come from comfort alone, but it also does not come from force. It comes from friction that is held with care. Sometimes the most important thing we can do for learning is not to add more information, but to gently disturb what we think we already know and stay present long enough to see what grows next. We'll see you on the next trail. Thanks for joining us on the Intellectual Hike, Forest Friends. Don't forget to visit us at www.alderbranch.org for more free resources and join our friends today. See you for another brain hiking adventure soon.